Hello and welcome to video 6 of the Reducing Anxiety with CBT mini course. My name is Chris Piercy from GYSD Coaching and Hypnotherapy, but you probably know that already now. So we have learnt so far that our thoughts directly impact how we feel. We've also learnt that thoughts are not facts, and we've learnt a few techniques along the way. So today's video is all about thought records. Now, we'll get into exactly what that is in a minute, but I want to talk about situations, thoughts, reactions, etc. before we get into that. Now, the thoughts that come into our head are often as a result of the situations we find ourselves in or the circumstances that have happened to us. But it isn't actually what happens to us that impacts how we feel. It's what our reaction is to those circumstances. I know it might not feel like it at all, but we can actually control our reaction to those circumstances. Although it often doesn't feel like it, when a situation presents itself, we can choose how we respond to it. Now, it may be the case that you have an automatic thought that pops into your head, a kind of emotive reaction to some circumstances, and that would be your automatic thought, which may well be a negative one. Now, if that is a negative one, then what can happen is you can get dragged down by that negative thought. However, if you've using the tools and techniques that you've learned so far in this mini course, if you can learn to scrutinize that automatic negative thought and then tweak it either at the time or later on, you can then choose how those circumstances, how that situation then impacts on your life. So as I said, today we're going to be looking at thought records, and this is a really fantastic way to use CBT to start training our mind to scrutinize these negative thoughts that come into our heads, and also to find those situations and not let them affect us so much. We'll often find that anxious feelings just aren't there for long periods of a day, and then a particular situation will come up, or someone will say something, or there'll be a circumstance which sets off that kind of anxious feeling within you. Now, this is what thought records is all about. It's about spotting those moments when anxious feelings start bubbling towards the surface, noticing what you're thinking, and then, after the fact, or maybe even at the time, going through the thought record sheet to show yourself how you could have reacted better. Or if you get good at it, in the moment, you can say, this is how I'm going to react instead. It isn't the most difficult form to fill in by any stretch of imagination, but I want to go through it so you have a complete understanding of it. There is a printable version of it you can download just below, or you can simply do this on your phone, because like I said, it isn't a complicated form, but this is how you fill it in. Step 1. When you notice that you're feeling a little more anxious than normal, just pause, take a moment, and just ask yourself, what's your automatic thought? What are you thinking instantly in that particular situation, and write that down. Number 2, simply write down the date and time. This is to kind of keep a record of it, see if there's any patterns that are emerging. Step 3, write down the details of the situation you were in. Again, this is to kind of help you spot any particular pattern. So maybe you become more anxious when you're in meetings. Maybe you're more anxious when you're meeting a certain friend. Maybe it's particular places that you're going. Step 4, you've already written down your automatic thought. So just as a percentage from 0 up to 100, obviously, just write down to what percentage at this moment you believe that automatic thought. Next up, add in what emotions this thought kind of brought about in you. Did it make you feel scared? Did it make you feel anxious? Did it make you feel excited? How did it make you feel? And again, write down how much you believe this feeling, or how intensely you're having this feeling, as a percentage. Next up, write down which cognitive distortions you think are going on in your head. What sort of faulty thinking is occurring? Are you catastrophizing? Are you black and white thinking? Are you negative filtering? What's going on in terms of cognitive distortions? 7th on the list of things you need to do is to write down some alternative thoughts to that automatic thought. So looking at it and kind of questioning it and using the things that you've learned so far, how could you do this differently? What's a different way of thinking about the situation? What's a more positive way of reframing what is going on? And finally, write down the outcome of this situation. How did it resolve? Were you able to kind of catch that thought in the moment and kind of calm it down by yourself? Did you have to run away? Did you just go through it feeling nervous and get through it and everything is fine eventually? What was the outcome of the situation? This thought record is designed to help you with 5 different things. Firstly, to recognize particular situations or times or patterns when you feel heightened anxiety. Number 2, to identify any recurring negative automatic thoughts, NATs if you like. Number 3, to help show to you the direct link between how you are thinking and how you are feeling and the emotions that are going on. Number 4, to teach your mind how to create more positive thoughts to replace the negative automatic thoughts. And finally, for you to examine how the more positive thoughts impact on your feelings and emotions. Now, obviously, this can be filled in after the fact. You get to the evening after something's happened during the day, and you can kind of fill this out and see what's gone on for you. Or you can fill it in during, if you go, oh my God, I'm starting to feel this, and catching it in the moment. But the ultimate goal with this is that by doing this and repeating this process, you then get a process to kind of put in the moment. So when you do start feeling, oh, this situation's coming up and I know that I can feel like this in this situation, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to have these kind of thoughts prepared to say to myself in this moment. So when it comes up, I can say these things so I feel more positive and I can get through that situation with less anxious feelings going on. Now, in terms of an exercise, well, this is the exercise, and this is something that you can repeat. You can just go in, day out, hour in, hour out, just filling in these thought records so you can get a real clear idea of how your mind is working. This is essentially bringing together all of the different things that you've learnt in this mini course. So you've learnt about what goes on in CBT, you've learnt about control, you've learnt about Socratic questioning, you've learnt about the different types of faulty thinking, the cognitive distortions that we spoke about. So this is now your opportunity. This kind of final exercise is your opportunity to put all of those things into practice. So what I'd recommend that you do is that you just continue to do this day in, day out, so you can really learn how your mind is working and train your mind to think in a different way. Now, I do appreciate that this isn't the simplest thing. You've watched 6 videos now, and it's not just going to overnight just make everything completely better. But you do now have the tools and techniques which can actually help you if you're able to apply them. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this mini course. I really hope that you have got some interesting and helpful tools and tips, and hopefully some insight as well about how anxiety affects you and how to control anxious thoughts if and when they come along. Now, hopefully, that's enough for you. I mean, this is how I want my clients to leave my office once they've had sessions with me, that they leave feeling they have the tools and the techniques to control, reduce, and relieve their own anxiety. So if you've got to that point with just the information I've given you so far, absolutely fantastic. Couldn't be happier for you. If, however, you feel like, you like what I've said, but you're having trouble even identifying what you're thinking or having trouble to applying the tools and techniques to yourself, and you feel like you need some help, then I do have an offer for you. I would like to offer you £20 off your first session, and that's available. This offer is available for the next 24 hours. If you're interested in that, then just click the link below and you can make a payment. It's going to be £45 as opposed to £65. Don't worry about the time and date at this exact moment. Once you have made payment, I will send you a link across to go onto my online booking system to book yourself an appointment with me. So if you're interested in that, take action now. But if you're not, and you feel like you've got to the place where you want to already, then wonderful. I could not be happier for you. Either way, I wish you the very best for the future, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.